our guest this week is a returnee.
Yes.
Graham Norton.
Let's talk about the best to ever do it. If there's an interview with a celebrity, I'm always praying he's the one to do it. Gets a lot out of guests and is hilarious himself and hosts just the best show. England just gets it. I am upset with how rad they get to be over there. We just don't do radness here.
And he upped the ante by also apparently being a really fucking great fiction writer.
Yes. Oh, yeah. He's here to talk about his new book, which we'll get into. And by the way, before we get into the show, I just want to say RIP also to Dame Joan Plowright, whom I think modern audiences probably know most from Bringing Down the House. But she is a grande dame of the theater, wife of Laurence Olivier. And if you have not seen the movie Enchanted April, which she was nominated for an Oscar for, where she is sort of this dowager vibe, she walks in and is immediately unbelievably hilarious. This is the year that Marissa Tomei won for My Cousin Vinny, but all 5 nominees, that's one of my favorite lineups in the history of the Oscars, those 5 women. She is just hysterical. And she's also, of course, in the movie Tea with the Dames, which is called Nothing Like a Dame over in England, which is those 4 actresses, Judi Dench, the late Maggie Smith, Eileen Atkins, and Joan Plowright, just sitting around in this cottage they share, talking about old stories, which is unbelievably funny. So RIP to Joan Plowright, who just died at 95.
Now, I know you didn't leave off one of her best credits.
Which is?
101 Dalmatians.
Oh, I feel bad. I should have, yes.
I feel like you probably wouldn't even know her from that movie, but it's also a classic. So
this is the Glenn Close 101 Dalmatians.
The Glenn Close 101 Dalmatians. Yes, she's not that old.
Right. Betty Lou Gersten in that movie, one of the great VO performances of all time.
I feel like that movie originally it feels like it came out in like 1942.
I know.
Animated.
Yes, and it's the early 60s because it's like sort of swinging 60s London, like the droll, like thin silhouettes everywhere and stuff. Yeah.
All right, when we are back, we will be joined by Graham Norton, where he and I are going to talk to one another as authors. This week's guest is one of the best broadcasters to ever do it, and hosting one of TV's best chat shows isn't even his only job. He's also the author of several books, including Home Stretch and Holding. Today, he's here to talk about his latest novel, Frankie. Welcome back to Keep It. It's Graham Norton.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me back. It's a pleasure.
Why are you like Danielle Steele? How can you have like a TV career and then write all the fucking time? It makes no sense to me. The productivity is strange.
Do you know what it is? It's because it's a hobby. That's what it is. It's a hobby. So it's fun to do. So when I'm not working, and let's face it, all of my work is fun. But if I'm not doing the TV show, I like to write. So it's it's not like I have to find the time. I want to find the time.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because I think of you hosting your show as like, you're like kind of the ultimate extrovert. Like you can bring anything out of anybody else and they're like thrilled to have a conversation with you. But then do you have to like shut that off after a while? Like is writing like a way to literally get away from that?
It's kind of getting away from it, but it's also, and I don't know what about you guys, it's the only thing in my life that doesn't require meetings. Everything else, you're sat in a room talking to fuckers and like, it's like, even the show, like my name is above the door, but it's not really my show. It belongs to all the people who work on it, which is good because it saves me from myself, but also annoying. So this is the writing is kind of the one thing that I own entirely. It's all on me. If it's good, if it's bad, it's all me.
Well, Louis can't really relate to that, but my book comes out in 3 weeks, so I
heard this. Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a first one, and so I guess my question, is you get that time to yourself, and then you go on a tour or you go on these shows and you're being interviewed. And do you enjoy that aspect of it when you're now on the other side of the couch?
Well, to give you an idea, this book tour that I just did in the UK, I got rid of the interviewer. I just did it by myself.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't like a specific person. I just got rid of the idea of the interviewer. So it just turned into a kind of evening, and I just talked. And and also I don't know about you. You'll probably find this that people want to talk to you about TV shows you've worked on, or they'll want to talk about this podcast. It's very hard to talk about a book that no one's read. And so, actually, in the end, you just want to give them your best stories. So that's kind of what I did, and they all had to buy a book. So I sold lots of books, but also they had a much nicer time listening to me talk about a book they didn't know anything about.
Now, I did read Frankie, though, and I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
And I guess my question, too, about this book is, one, how do you come to your ideas about what you want to write about? And particularly for Frankie, what was it that interested you in wanting to, I guess, tell this story? Lewis made a joke about how, it stars a caretaker, and you're sort of a caretaker of older British actresses on your show, but then it hops into New York in the 60s, and then it touches on AIDS. So what was it that sparked it first?
I mean, it's interesting, that thing that you said, Lou said about the parallels with me. I honestly did not notice that there was a young gay Irish guy interviewing an old woman for 300 pages. It was literally, when I was finished, come out, oh yeah, I see what you've done here, and I'm like, what? But yes, I do see the parallels. This book came about because basically I had a couple of ideas. I had the early part where Frankie, or Frances as she is when she's a little girl, when she's living in rural Ireland back in the 50s. I had that idea. And then I also wanted to do something about the art scene in New York in the 1960s. And they seemed like really disparate ideas. But then I realized, if I write the story of a life, that one person can be in both of those stories, because that's how lives are lived. Lives are kind of different chapters and different scenes and times and characters. So that I kind of, and also I remembered how much I enjoy novels that tell the story of a life. So that's what I did. And this one, I have to say, flowed in a way that the others haven't. I really enjoyed writing this one.
What is it about New York in the 60s that spoke to you? We were just talking about it as it pertained to A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan movie, which takes place largely in the Greenwich Village area.
Yeah. I've seen it. It was just such a fascinating time. Like, the explosion in the art scene in the 60s is kind of unparalleled. I mean, there was a tiny bit maybe like it in the 90s in London with Charles Saatchi kind of creating all these, Brit-pop art people. But I think, people became so famous so quickly, and the amounts of money became astronomical, like overnight. Like, exhibitions would sell out before they'd even opened, and that would be by a kind of unknown artist. And there were these, gallery owners. The one I feature in the book is Leo Castelli, and he had the power. If he anointed you, then you were collectible. And there were some people who there was a taxi cab impresario back then called, I think it was Robert Skull, Scull, and he and his wife, they collected lots of this kind of pop art, and they were the ones who kind of created the market. They decided at some point in, I think, the 70s to auction off all their art. And they created the art market that we all kind of know now, where, things go for huge sums of money, and there's lots and lots of money to be made.
Keep It is brought to you by Manukora Honey. Are you looking for something simple and delicious to add to your wellness routine? Well, I don't know. Whip it into your protein shake, or just eat it raw, like Winnie the Pooh.
I love Manuka honey. It always goes into my Greek yogurt, always goes into my protein shake. And honey is one of my favorite roles in the American theater, from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, acclaimed Oscar winner Sandy Dennis, Carrie Coon, Melinda Dillon. Heard of them? Back to Manukora honey. It's rich, creamy, and contains powerful nutrients to support immunity and gut health. It's ethically produced by master beekeepers in New Zealand, home to the Manuka tea tree. The Manuka tea tree's nectar is full with bioactives, packing its honey with 3 times more antioxidants and prebiotics than average, and it's a game changer. All you need is 1 heaping teaspoon each morning to get the most out of the amazing bioactives in Manuka.
Listen, as soon as Louis started taking this, he's been buzzing.
You should work in ad copy. Don Draper, is that fucking you?
If you don't like what people are saying,
Change the conversation. Yes, right.
Now it's easier than ever to try Manukora honey. Head to manukora.com/keepit to get $25 off the starter kit, which comes with an MGO 850 plus Manuka honey jar, 5 honey travel sticks, a wooden spoon, and a guidebook. I am always envious of people who whip out their own honey sticks on the plane.
That's manukora.com/keepit for $25 off your starter kit. Keep It is brought to you by Armra Colostrum. I'm always on the lookout for ways to strengthen immunity and gut health, improve my fitness and metabolism, and enhance my skin and hair radiance, which, as you can see right now, is poppin'. Well, luckily I found a product that does all that and more. You know how I like starting out my day? With a boost. I'll take anything. Caffeine, a compliment, whatever. But Armra Colostrum is the actual boost that will get me going through my day.
With 400 plus functional nutrients, Armra Colostrum optimizes your whole body's microbiome and strengthens your immune barriers along the mouth, sinuses, lungs, gut, urinary, and reproductive tracts to protect you against unwelcome particles. Are you tired of feeling bloated? Well, probiotics only address one part of the 4-part gut wall, rendering most products kind of dead before they even reach your gut. Armra Colostrum naturally fortifies your entire gut wall system, supporting your microbiome and strengthening the gut wall architecture, which combats irritants that can trigger symptoms like bloating and constipation. What I'm saying is, Miss Frizzle ain't getting in there.
No way. Armra Colostrum also supports your metabolism on both fronts by guarding against toxins that can slow down metabolism and modulate hormones like leptin that ignite your body's fat-burning capacity for your peak metabolic performance. And if your goals are more beauty than brawn this year, Colostrum bioactives have also been shown to reactivate hair follicle stem cells, optimize the hair microbiome, feed regenerative nutrients to the scalp, and work to combat hair loss by guarding against chemical-induced damage to the follicle. You'll also reap strong benefits from antioxidants, whole food prebiotics, growth factors, vitamins, and regenerative peptides that have been shown in research to help reduce fine lines, enhance skin radiance, and activate collagen production, while also strengthening the skin barrier. We've worked out a special offer for our audience. Receive 15% off your first order. Go to tryamra.com/keepit or enter KEEPIT to get 15% off your first order. That's tryamra.com/keepit.
You talk in the acknowledgments about how you did quite a bit of research for this. And was this the first novel of yours where you felt like you had to do a lot of research? And 2, it does get to New York, sort of in like the 80s or whatever. I mean, do you have memories of being in New York maybe from that period, or did you not get to New York until later in life?
I got to New York really briefly in 1983. Mm-hmm. And I was very young, very green, just off the plane from Ireland. And they bussed us in, and they put us in a YMCA that's now gone. It was right by Madison Square Garden. And I remember we got in late at night, and we were all so excited. And in the morning, they took us into a room, and I don't know what the talk was entitled, but it basically should have been entitled, How Not to Get Killed in New York. And they scared the bejesus out of us. They absolutely terrified us all. So I couldn't get out of New York fast enough. I just thought, I'm just a sitting duck here. So I didn't. And now, when I was researching this book and I was discovering all the things that were happening in New York in 1983, I was like, oh, you moron. Why didn't you read a magazine, read a book, find out what was going on? No, I just got on a bus to Philadelphia.
Now, you say that like writing provides an opportunity where you don't have to meet with people, but do you still find yourself like answering to people? Like, is there like any sort of like dramaturgical person being like, this should be changed, or you should? Are you verifying any of the information in this book with other people?
Now, it's interesting, the research, I feel like they just kind of left me alone.
Yeah. They're like, whatever.
If I'd got the research really wrong, and also what's good about this book is, it is a blend of fact and fiction. And there are certain facts that I have changed just because they didn't suit the story. So I guess I have a kind of opt-out. It's not like I'm writing a history book. It is a novel. But when it comes to the writing, I mean, Ira, you'll know this. There's editors and there's proofreaders, all these people who kind of, once you finish the book, stick their oar in and all have opinions.
I mean, well, even speaking of the proofreading of it all, I feel like this was my first major lesson of writing a book for the first time. I just finished my audiobook yesterday. And,
isn't that and you spotted lots of mistakes?
Yes, I'm like, you're reading it, and the book is done. Literally, the hardcover has arrived yesterday in boxes to my apartment, and I'm finishing the audiobook, and I'm noticing, like, in like one chapter, like a word is written twice, or I would have changed like the syntax and something, and like you just sort of have to let it go.
Yeah, and no one will care as much as you. Mm-hmm. Your friends will. Your friends will read the book and find every mistake and tell you about them in a caring way. Yeah, they'll want you to relive the agony and make sure people did notice. But the audiobook is an awful experience because you're absolutely right. You go through it and then you realize, oh God, I've said exactly that. You've used the same word really close to it, and you kind of think, how many people have read this? Why has no one noticed it?
Yeah,
there you go.
And then I wonder, when you are turning in a book then, or when you're responding with your editors or the proofreaders or something, how do you reread it? Are you rereading it closely? Do you read things aloud? I feel like after this experience, I want to read my next book aloud completely.
Yeah, I do read everything aloud. Because not just because if you're going to do the audiobook, but also because if you read it, when you hear it, the rhythm of sentences, it just, as you go, when you start doing the audiobook, if you haven't read it aloud, you'll realize, oh, this sentence is way too long, or I should have put the verb here, or all that sort of stuff. Whereas if you read it aloud, it's a really good way. You can smooth out the text, I think, if you read it aloud. And also because, in the novel, there are voices. So I have to kind of try and come up with voices for all these people, and this one is like, apologies to American people who get the audiobook, because there are Americans in it. You won't know it when you listen to me do it, but there are.
Now, when you're reading like your own work aloud and you've written a memoir, is that like a very vulnerable making process to like read kind of confessional things out loud for the first time?
It is slightly, in that there's always this thing, and when you're writing, you forget that someone's going to read it. And that sounds so moronic. How could you possibly, you're writing it for someone to read. But you genuinely kind of forget. You get lost in the act of telling the story. And with a memoir, like, I put everything in the memoir. I kept a couple of stories out to protect other people, but I did nothing to protect myself in that memoir. And previously, when I would interview someone who'd read a memoir or written a memoir, and I was asking them to tell stories from the memoir, they'd often get kind of weird and they wouldn't want to tell stories. I'm like, it's in a book. You've written a book. It's in a book. But once I'd written a memoir, I understood it. Because actually, some stories, you've gone to such trouble to make sure it's perfect. It's in the right context. You've qualified things. You've made sure you said things in a certain way. And so I don't want to turn it into a chat show anecdote, because then it won't be the way I want it to be in the book. So I do understand that. But oddly, I find novels I feel more vulnerable, I think, reading out a novel than I did a memoir. Because in a memoir, I've decided to tell you this about myself. This has been my decision. With a novel, I'm not sure what I'm telling you about myself. You know, I don't know what insight you get into my messed up brain when you hear this story or read this story that I've written. It's a weird one because you're kind of out of control in a way.
Mm-hmm. I wonder about that too, even when you're interviewing people, you know, when you hear them tell a story, like insight you start to pick up from them. I mean, just for example, I interviewed Robbie Williams last week. And I listened to his, his fantastic and wild episode of your show that he had just done talking about Better Man.
Yeah. He has no filter at all. I feel like the people who love him must be in the wings going, no, enough now, Robbie. And actually, what's great is that film is like that. That film it's like the smell of burning bridges. It comes strong off that screen. There are friendships that will not recover from that film. And that, I must say, did you enjoy it? I loved that film.
I did.
And I feel like it should have done much better in America than it has. I feel like maybe they marketed it wrong or something.
Well, the thing is, and I've told friends about the movie and that they should go see it. The thing is, we really don't know Robbie Williams here, and we know because we're kids, and we listen to his music. But even his biggest song for us, Millennium, isn't in the movie. So, I think there's just that barrier.
Yeah, that's what I mean about the marketing. I felt like when I saw the TV ads in this country, in America, because I'm in America, where the ads kind of supposed that you did know who Robbie Williams was, and I felt like they should have just ignored Robbie Williams and told you about the movie that it's it's about a young chimp becoming a superstar, because it's. I don't know. Have you seen it, Louis?
Oh, yes. No, I was really entertained. I was just saying I love the big rock DJ scene in the middle of London. Yeah.
Isn't that great? And apparently they really did it.
Which it kind of looks looks a little like AI, that scene too. So it's crazy that it's that real. Yeah.
Yeah, they closed down Regent Street in London, and it had never been closed for filming before. And the original night they were closing it, the Queen died. Thank you very much. So they couldn't dance and sing rock DJ in Regent Street. They might have felt it was a little off. So they had to pack everything up and go home, and then close it another night. So I mean, the expense of that, enormous.
Now, I was just thinking about one of my favorite guests on your show, Judi Dench, because she recently turned 90 years old.
Yeah.
Obviously an institution. I'm very much lamenting the loss of Maggie Smith over here. Prime and Miss Jean Brodie is one of my all-time favorite performances. But we've got Judi Dench at 90. Do you have a particular favorite moment with Judi Dench, either on or off the air?
I mean, my favorite one was, and I feel bad because there was something about, she said she'd never been in a nightclub. And I said, no, you have been in a nightclub. And she went, and she said, how do you know? And I said, I bumped into you. And it was in heaven in thing. And it was after they'd been filming Tea with Mussolini. And Cher was doing her first ever performance of Believe in Heaven nightclub, and she brought her good friend Judi Dench with her, and then Sir Ben Kingsley introduced Cher on the stage of Heaven.
Why? What?
A lot of very confused gay people going like, "We're here to see Cher."
House of Sand and whoa. Anyway. Yeah.
So I loved Judi remembering that she had been in heaven, having forgotten it. But she's just a lovely guest. She's just gorgeous. And that there was one recently where she was sitting next to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I don't know, we were talking about Shakespeare, and she just from memory, unprompted, did a Shakespearean sonnet.
Yes.
And it was so gorgeous, and the whole audience stilled, and it became this amazing moment. And Dame Judi does the sonnet, and it's absolutely beautiful. And when when she finishes, Arnold Schwarzenegger just said, "That's more words than I've said in any movie."
I always love am envious of the ones who do like whenever like when Denzel did that on your show, like the ones who could always just like remember a Shakespearean monologue. I guess I want to ask too. The Judi, obviously, we know that the British people on your show like are always naturally funny. There's just something about them that's just like you're very funny in person and on talk shows. But who's been like one of your favorite Americans who's come over and sort of like really impressed everybody and was like really funny on the couch?
Off the top of my head, I remember Chris Pratt. I didn't have particularly high hopes for Chris Pratt. He was very funny, and he's got some great stories, really, really good stories. And he does a very good Essex accent as well. There's a reality show here called The Only Way is Essex.
The Only Way is
Right, yes.
Towie. I watch it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, so does Chris Pratt. And he can do the voices really, really well. And he told a very long, weird story about getting his headshots done for free. Google it. It's so gay. It's clearly like it's obviously some predator in West Hollywood offered him free headshots, and I don't quite know how Chris Pratt walked away kind of unscathed, but he did. I'm not sure he got the headshots, but nothing bad happened.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for being here, Graham, as always. I mean, like, we will be watching your fucking show forever because, one, you're obviously amazing at what you do. Literally, celebrities need you to tap into them. Literally, we are at a dearth of people who find the core of celebrities and make them not just entertaining, but, like, enriching. I mean, who else is going to give you a fucking Shakespeare monologue elsewhere these days?
Yeah. But also, it's that thing, I think, like, all shows need other shows. Like, when people are coming on our show, we listen to all the podcasts, we watch all the other talk shows. You're just trying to find the moment that they told the good story. What was the good thing they said? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so we all need each other. I feel it's a great big feeding frenzy. It's meta.
And the book is amazing, by the way. Thank you so much for writing it.
Oh, listen, that's very, very kind of you. Very, very kind of you. And sending love to you in LA as well.
Much appreciated. Thank you, Graham.
Keep It is brought to you by 3 Day Blinds, Jesus' favorite.
And on the third day, he blinded again. You know what the number one most annoying thing about blinds that aren't from 3 Day Blinds are? Pure ugliness. I walk into a house and I see somebody has blinds from the Clinton administration. They're the wrong color. They're bent in exactly one place, so I'm constantly noticing that they're gross. And then it's all I can think about. New blinds will refresh your entire room.
It's 2025. Are your blinds still from 2005? There's a better way to build blinds, shades, shutters, and drapery, and it's called 3 Day Blinds. They are the leading manufacturer of high-quality custom window treatments in the U.S., and right now, if you use the URL 3dayblinds.com/keepit, they are running a buy one, get one 50% off deal.
3 Day Blinds has local professionally trained design consultants who have an average of 10 plus years of experience that provide expert guidance on the right blinds for you in the comfort of your home. Just set up an appointment and you'll get a free, no obligation quote the same day. I just walked into the office at Crooked. The 3 Day Blinds are up. Honey, they're gorgeous.
Now, what I loved is that I am not a very handy person, and my familiarity with blinds is usually when I'm around the poker table.
You're like Annie Duke. That's right.
So what I love is that the expert team at 3 Day Blinds handles all the heavy lifting. They design, measure, and install so you can sit back, relax, and leave it to the pros, or watch your favorite poker movie starring Jessica Chastain.
Molly's Game, I want it. I also just love 3 Day Blinds because every version of a 3 Day Blind I've seen is gorgeous. So buy them because they're attractive. How about that? With 3 Day Blinds, you choose from thousands of options that fit any budget or style, and with actual samples, you won't be guessing about what your blinds will look like. 3 Day Blinds has been in business for over 45 years, and they have helped over 2 million people get the window treatments of their dreams, so they are a brand you can trust. Right now, get quality window treatments that fit your budget with 3-day blinds. Head to 3dayblinds.com/keepit for their buy one, get one 50% off deal on custom blinds, shades, shutters, and drapery. For a free, no charge, no obligation consultation, just head to 3dayblinds.com/keepit. One last time, that's buy one, get one 50% off when you head to the number 3dayblinds.com/keepit.
Keep It is brought to you by Helix. Let me tell you something about Helix mattresses. I love them. I can never even feel a pee underneath a Helix mattress. That's how comfortable they are.
And you wear a Carol Burnett wig to bed every night.
I do. It's the only way I can fall asleep.
I'm going to say, the world's hardest bob can only work on that noggin of yours. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses, including award-winning Luxe and ultra-premium Elite collections, Helix Plus, a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, Helix Kids mattress designed for growing bodies, endorsed by child sleep experts. So how will you know which Helix mattress works best for you and your body? You're not going to believe this. You can take the Helix quiz, the sleep quiz, and find your perfect mattress in under 2 minutes. I took it, and as you know, I am a qualified Helix Ultra ambassador, and I sleep soundly on my Helix Luxe mattress every single night.
Well, if you're not sure you can take mine or Lewis's word for it, Helix has been awarded the #1 mattress picked by GQ and Wired magazine. It is even recommended by multiple leading chiropractors and doctors of sleep medicine as the go-to solution for improving your sleep. Improved sleep helps my life so much because, first of all, you do not want to be falling asleep on the subway in New York, okay?
Oh, I'll write that down.
Yeah, it's dangerous out there, okay? It's giving the Warriors. So I love having, just more pep in my step. I love being able to concentrate at work. I love being able to write better, read, and concentrate on the words. Sleep is kind of a good-ass thing. So go to helixsleep.com/keepit for 20% off site-wide, plus 2 free dream pillows with mattress purchase. That's helixsleep.com/keepit for 20% off site-wide, plus 2 free dream pillows with mattress purchase. helixsleep.com/keepit. And we're back with our favorite segment of the episode. It is Keep It. Lewis,
Yes.
what are you mad about this week?
I hate having to say keep it to this thing because I enjoy this thing, and we all do. It's basically church for the Queens community on both coasts, as far as I'm concerned. RuPaul's Drag Race, the new season is perfectly entertaining. I haven't memorized any of the queens' names yet because I have a real problem with that. It takes me like 8 weeks to remember any of these names, and it feels like all my friends always have them on lock right away. This past episode, they did a challenge called Monopulence, where it was based on the game Monopoly, allegedly. And what that meant was everybody drew property names like Kentucky Avenue, all the ones from the games, Boardwalk, whatever. And based on the color they drew, they just had to dress in that color on the runway. Bitch, what? That's like not a Monopoly themed challenge at all. This is like the worst, most corporate thing I've ever seen on RuPaul's Drag Race, a show I otherwise, again, am obsessed with. I think it was especially disappointing is, one, they could have worked with a whole bunch of board games, right? Like if it was, if Monopoly is Hasbro or Parker Brothers or whatever it is, there are certainly a whole category of games they could have gotten into. I don't know about Clue, I don't know about whatever, anything, Jenga, etc. They could have worked with lots of different ideas, but instead, they only used 5 basic colors from this game. It may as well have been a Crayola challenge or something. And there's so much in the game of Monopoly that I think is funny or could have been like pulled into funny or drag. Something in Monopoly that I always think is funny. The idea of just visiting jail. Who is doing that? Why? Are you Sister Helen Prejean? Are you Johnny Cash? Who is just walking into a prison? But I'm not staying. I have to get out of here. Like things like waterworks or like dressing like a railroad or just or one of the community chess cards is like you win $10 in a beauty contest or something. There's lots of ways to have made a dress completely out of chance and community chess cards, for example. There were so many opportunities for real drag, and instead we just got the blandest possible version of that. I can't believe there wasn't a rethink on this challenge.
Well, first of all, you've never had an Uncle Joe in prison, okay?
He wasn't just visiting.
We were visiting every other week, though.
Oh, you were visiting. I see. Yes. Yeah.
Who else is going to bring muffins?
Okay. Right. Oh, I see. And you just slide them through like that? Oh, okay.
Yeah. They always caught the file, though.
Oh. You doing You doing stand-up these days? What's happening with you?
I also think my main problem with that Monopoly quote unquote challenge was the fact that it didn't even really incorporate some of the pitfalls of Monopoly into the challenge. I mean, what if you had gotten Baltic or Mediterranean Avenue?
You're right.
Like the shitty purple properties?
Yeah. And right, Atlantic City was not incorporated in any way. There are just plenty of opportunities to bring the world of Monopoly, which is a whole world. Aren't we getting a fucking movie Monopoly at some point? Is Margot Robbie involved?
I want the Miss Monopoly movie. Do you remember that game? It was your keep it once upon a time.
Wait, as in like there's a lady monopolist?
Yes, I remember she had a coffee with her. She had the glasses.
Should we hang out with her? She sounds great.
I fully believe this was your keep it in like 2020.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would hang out and like, do drugs on free parking with her or whatever. I don't know. Ira, what is your keep it this week?
Well, Sig Heil the Ghetto.
Oh,
okay?
no. I wonder to whom you could be referring.
This is exhausting. We are like a full day into Donald Trump's presidency, and we are already doing the same nonsense bullshit that we did for 4 years, and the next 4 years throughout the Biden presidency too, of just trying to pretend that things didn't happen. I hate using the word gaslight. Because also this isn't gaslighting. This is people just being willfully stupid and lying about the fact that Elon Musk is on stage and, he's outstretching his hand, doing the Heil, like we've all seen the producers. Hitler has had a springtime for me.
Right.
I listen in the summer and winter. I love that song.
That's a lovely song. Yes. Tony winning musical. Right.
Yes. But it's pretty obvious what he is doing. It's pretty obvious that he supported far-right individuals in Germany. It's pretty obvious when you look at all the Nazis that have been on Twitter. It's who he is as a person, and it's who he supports. And all of these people online with the takes, especially from like the Anti-Defamation League.
I was blown away to read that, yes.
The excuse that because he is autistic, he was outstretching his hands to express love to the audience. First of all, he's not Wall-E, okay? Like you make him sound like a child who's like reaching out his hands to be like, "I love you, audience." It's like, what the fuck are we doing here?
No, I don't remember the scene in Rain Man where he did the Sig Heil. Yeah, I'm not recalling that. Once upon a time when I was an entertainment journalist, if you will, once upon a time when I was an entertainment journalist, I think I've brought this up before, with certain interviewees, I would say, who's your least favorite celebrity? If I was aware that they could go there and be a little bit bitchy. And at the time, this is like 2010, 2011, Donald Trump was my answer to that question, because not only was he like this, obvious capitalist pig who treated himself like King Midas, he was so obsessed with the fact that you thought he was cool. He couldn't just be the money guy. He had to also be the cool guy, and that annoying. I think maybe as a celebrity, Elon Musk might have topped him as a worse celebrity. Who the fuck is this asshole who has this car brand that I guess people love? I was almost sideswiped by a fucking Cybertruck yesterday, and it's like a big butter tin is coming right at you. I thought it was going to be knocked off the road. Anyway, talk about somebody who is obsessed with you thinking he's cool, obsessed with you thinking he is funny. And by the way, I'll say this, like, I don't personally find Donald Trump funny. He has his finger closer to the pulse of funny than Elon Musk ever will. So the delusion level here is particularly insane. And then
it feels like you're at school too, because also the fact that this man routinely has his mother going on television shows to say he's awesome.
Right. Which is, as you know, how I know somebody is awesome. Yeah, he is unbelievably vile. I mean, that moment and the obviously the ADL is its own insanity, just a pro-Israel situation we don't need to get into. But yeah, Elon Musk sucks, and in a new way today. It's nice that he's diversifying the way he sucks.
I think a lot of people should take heed from Azealia Banks before America ends up locked in Elon Musk's basement with nothing to eat.
She herself said she was voting for Kamala Harris because she didn't think Elon Musk should be close to the presidency, and I really do hate when she is right.
Remember, she lied, though.
Oh,
After the election, she said, I actually voted for Donald Trump.
I never put your eggs in one basket, Azealia Banks. Again, you know she is a Rumpelstiltskin curse. She says one funny thing, and then she has to say 8 horrible things. That's the rule.
I think when you look at Superman and like Lex Luthor, etc., villains like that, you're always wondering, how do these people get to power? How is Superman still fighting him for 20, 30 years, etc.? And it's people really do support this man who is a palpable loser.
Yeah, right. People have no quotient over recognizing a loser. They don't.
We used
Like
to
if somebody
bully
just believes them,
losers.
yeah, if somebody just has like unreasonable self-belief, they just believe it too. It's comfortable for them.
I mean, bring back, make America great again. America used to bully people, you know? Like a person like that would have been bullied in school.
Yeah.
And now, when they do obvious things that kids would make fun of, when Donald Trump is dancing like that, like a weirdo behind the Village People, there's just this cognitive dissonance now where all of a sudden he becomes cool because it's on your side.
Right. No. What happened to celebrities like Janine Garofalo? People with the sardonic remove who would just make you feel like shit for acting like a loser. That is what we are missing.
Yeah. I love that you're like, you know what celebrities we need to get? Janine Garofalo.
You come here for hot takes, and I have the hottest ones and the most important ones. And she was great in Romeo and Michelle.
Yeah. Well, we're back to how we started.
Right. It really is painful that like Trump has been going since 2016. Like now that it feels like we still had 4 years of him with Biden, and now we're going to get this full 12 sequence when it feels like he could have been eliminated, in the conversation by now. But anyway, the Oscar nominations are coming up. We'll be back to a cheerier, radder, more traditional Keep It. Keep it great again, if you will. Thank you to the fabulous Graham Norton for joining us, and we will see you next week.